Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, wherever you may be, Friday evening. We are here. My name is Darren.
And
the other guy is Victor.
Yes,
and
that's me.
this is not the DevOps Paradox live episode. This is just Friday, hanging out, having a drink of some sort. I'm having my Coke. You have a what is your fine vintage today?
Cider.
Cider. Okay, there we go.
Yes.
We're not sponsored by either of these drinks, so there you go.
No, if you want to send me those drinks for free, that's okay.
That's okay.
I won't complain.
I don't need these sent to me. I get to have one a day, and I need to. Thanks, Jay. Thanks. Just in case you haven't seen it, I'll go ahead and put it up here in case you haven't looked at our subscribers. Hey, congrats on the 100. Yes, we did cross 100 subscribers today. I do not know who the 100th subscriber is. I saw who the 99th one was. Huh?
We know who one subscriber is.
Yes.
Jay.
Jay is one of them. Let me go ahead and kick this out so I don't accidentally fire this off again because the music's rocking, but we don't need to see that again. Okay, so if you have questions, please put them in the chat. If you don't have any questions immediately, we've got something ready to go. We recently launched the Chaos course on Udemy and the book, and it might show up in other places as well in different forms. Maybe. Do we need to have an exorcism? Your doors are very creaky. It's like...
yeah,
it's fine.
So what is happening is that at this very moment started cheering in Barcelona. Everybody goes on a balcony and cheers for the health workers and stuff like that.
Oh, so that happens at 8 your time.
Yes.
Well, that's cool. So, hey, Klaus, you're in from Germany. Which part of Germany? And you also had a question. What are the requirements for the new book for Chaos? It's really simple. I'll let Victor answer.
It's not actually. It's hard for me to answer.
Oh, no. No, it's simple. So to work through it is actually fairly simple.
Yes.
It is step by step.
Yes, you don't need any prerequisite knowledge to go through all the steps. Now, I'm not explaining Kubernetes-related things in detail. Kind of like I'm not explaining in detail what is a deployment, what is a pod, what this and that, right? So you can go through the whole material without knowing anything about Kubernetes,
yep.
But you might be a bit confused.
But you also don't have to set up a full-size cluster.
Except
for a couple of chapters. No, that's what I'm saying. What I'm trying to get to is you could use Minikube, you could use Docker for Desktop, so you don't have to go stand up a 70 node cluster in Google or AWS. You don't need to do that.
No, except that, as you mentioned, there are a few parts that deal with destroying nodes, and then we cannot destroy the Minikube because there is only one node.
Well, you could destroy it and see what happens when everything fails.
You don't need an experiment to know that.
Well, you might be surprised because some people is like, well, it'll keep running right. It's Kubernetes. No, if you blow everything away, it's gone. It's gone. Exactly. So with that in mind, and Klaus actually set us up for this, I guess, we're going to show a couple of things from the course. And I will update while he's doing this. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and get Victor's screen added in here. While he's doing this, I'm going to add into the description below of this episode to where you can actually go and see a full preview of what the course is. So, Victor, why don't you take it away? I'm going to kick myself out, and then I'll come back in a minute.
Sounds good. Okay, so sounds good.
No, you can go ahead and tell people now. So once you talk about what the example is.
I don't know what's going on now.
Are you dead? Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Tap, tap,
Hey,
tap.
hey. Okay, I'm hearing myself in some echo and strange stuff. Yes.
Okay. So, but you can see me, right? You can see me. Okay. Here. This is the joys of live.
Yes. Let me Slack you.
Yeah. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I'm going to do this and then let's see what happens. Okay, so very quick demo, right? I will not go into details and what's or not. Just a sneak peek into what we mean with chaos engineering. So what I'm going to do is that I have a cluster setup. It's a Kubernetes cluster, in this case in GKE, but it applies to anything. I installed my Istio and I deployed a couple of applications. And what I'm going to do is show you that my application is running. And you can see here that I got 10 requests. I managed to communicate to my application, so everything is working fine, everything is brilliant, and so on and so forth. So before I start experimenting with this application, just for you to have a general idea of what is going on, I'm going to open Kiali. Kiali is dashboard for Istio that is very handy if you want to see how different applications communicate with each other. And that is going to happen in a second. There you go. Let me put the screen here. Okay, I'm going to log in with admin. Oh, it doesn't work. What the heck is going on? Let's try again. Something bad happened. Okay, no Kiali, doesn't matter. So I have a couple of applications here set up. One that I call repeater is going to accept requests and it's going to forward requests to a different application, a demo application, which in turn communicates with the database. So two applications, one database. And what we might want to know in such a case is what happens if, for example, some of those requests do not work. And I can show you that by outputting. Let me see, where am I now? Okay, I'm in the wrong place. Okay, so if I output this file, chaos network, let's say rollback, this is a definition of my experiment, what I want to validate and what should be the outcomes. In this case, I'm using Chaos Toolkit because I like the tool, but the logic is similar everywhere. So what I'm going to do is create an action, and that, sorry, let me go actually at the top first. Here we go. So this is not important, title, description, what's not. This is what really matters, steady state hypothesis. And what that really means is that we need to create a hypothesis that will validate the state of something at the very beginning, and then we're going to do some actions, and then we're going to validate again and confirm that the state is the same. In other words, we want to make sure that the system is in the same state before and after some actions are performed. And this hypothesis is fairly simple and straightforward. I'm sending some requests to this address, and if the response is 200, it's fine. If response is something else, then it's not. And I have it defined here, right? So tolerance is 200, meaning that if my application responds, then everything is fine. It's as easy as that, right? I'm not doing anything complicated here. And I'm repeating the same request 4 more times. So I'm going to send 5 requests to the application and confirm whether it works well. And after that, what we are going to do is perform some action. And that action uses Chaos Toolkit, one of the Chaos Toolkit plugins. And basically what it will do is that it will find a service called godemo8. and it will modify it so that it responds with 500. It will modify the service so that it basically breaks responses and simulate what happens when some of the responses or requests do not reach the application. And then we have a destination, a subset. These are all references to my service, virtual service in this case. What really matters is here percentage set to 50. And what that percentage means is that 50% of the requests will be aborted and 50% will be working fine, right? And through that, we want to validate whether this particular application is able to handle that situation. Can our application survive the situation in which some of the responses are aborted? That happens all the time. You're unlikely going to have such a situation that 50% are aborted, more likely 1% or 3% or something much lower, but nevertheless, that's the action, abort 50% of the responses. And then at the end of all that, after those actions are performed, it will validate the state again. And once that is finished, no matter the outcome, it will roll back, meaning that it will remove the effect of the action. It will remove the configuration that makes the request be aborted, right? Restore the state of the network to its former glory. So let's run it and see what happens, right? Chaos, and then we're going to run something defining chaos, and then network rollback, and we run the experiment. And you see, it sent 5 requests, it works fine, and then it performed some action. It changed the networking so that some requests are aborted, and then it tried to validate the state again. So it validates it before and after actions, and that failed, right? One of the requests did not return 200 response code, it returned 500. So obviously, based on this experiment, this application is not designed well, it is not configured well, it cannot handle network outages. And now imagine that we are going through the code, going through different definitions, and we figure out how we're going to fix that. And I'm going to let me see what I want to do. Okay, so what we're going to do is modify Istio definition of our applications, which is defined here in Istio repeater. So what I'm going to tell now as a fix for the problem is to tell my application, this is Istio configuration of that service that really doesn't work well. I'm going to tell my application to retry the request up to 10 times if the response is a 500 range, right? So that's a fix of the problem discovered through an experiment. And we can deploy that fix by doing kubectl namespace go demo 8. I'm going to apply something defined in what was it? K-test network Istio repeater. So I'm modifying my application, hopefully to find a fix for the problem. And then what I would do is rerun my experiment. Let's see whether my application can handle network outages after I improved it. Same experiment again. It passes 5 probes. It modifies the network. It passes probes again, so it works after the destructive actions, and everything is peachy. At the end of that, all that, it rolled back to what it was before. Right? This was a very short kind of experiment, but I hope that it illustrates the whole idea of chaos engineering. Measure, confirm the state of something, do some destructive actions, confirm that the state is the same after those actions, roll back. And if it fails anywhere in the process, then you need to figure out which part of your system needs to be improved to handle a better situation described in an experiment.
Yep. Can you hear me now?
That's a short demo. Yes, I realized that YouTube was playing on my phone directly to my earphones.
So you switched. Okay, so
it's insane.
So you said that was a simple example, right? A
Yes.
very and some people will say, well, that could be contrived, but it's actually a fairly real example. But it's simple.
Yeah.
How would you take it to the next step? How would you take that simple example and make it a little bigger? It doesn't have to be
So
huge, but what would be the next step of testing something like that?
I mean, you usually start with experiments with a very small scope. Kind of, I'm going to experiment only on this application, and then once I gain confidence that all those small individual experiments are working fairly well, and the system seems to be responding well, then you start expanding. For example, let's say you might start by saying, okay, I'm going to destroy an instance of a specific application. And then you say, this is cool, great, I'm confident in my skills. I'm going to destroy a random instance in that namespace. And then you say, okay, after a while, this works well as well. Let me destroy a random instance on the cluster level, right? Okay. So you kind of start introducing randomness in your experiments, because realistically, if you're just experimenting on something very specific, you're not really replicating real world situation, because when something fails, you will not get the notification. Something will fail only for that application. Yeah. Things go completely bazooka. And eventually you might want to start running your experiments periodically, kind of. I'm going to run a random experiment doing random stuff at random intervals of the day. And then you surprise everything, and you eventually get fired because you destroy production system. But that's
that's what you're there for. But I think that's the key word that you're using there. Is everybody's thinking, okay, chaos is cool, but the big thing about chaos is that it's random. It needs to be random. I mean, starting out, don't let it be random. Try to figure out, okay, what are the pieces to get me to where I'm going. But then, as soon as you understand that, start that randomness as quickly as you can, because then that's when you're going to start getting real value from that point. It's sort of like taking a unit test versus a true integration test.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. You do start with unit tests, and then you move higher up. Exactly. Now, the only thing that I might be slightly worried about when you say as quick as possible, don't go really as quick as possible. Because the more random you go, the more damage you can do.
Yes.
And the more damage you do without being able to contain that damage quickly is a dangerous thing.
Yes. If you're destroying instances and your application developers had not architected their app to survive something like that, you're going to be on tier 1 support for the next 6 months.
I mean, eventually, the thing is that at least I've been seeing that very often, that people guess how resilient their systems are, and they find it out when everything breaks. Yeah. So it's and then most companies, when things go really bad, they improve their systems. You have to. This is more about being forced to improve the system before it really fails, for reasons that you do not control at all. So it's putting some level of control over the system that normally will not be controlled when it fails.
Right. So we haven't had any questions yet. I did ask if anybody had listened to. We tried to get Patrick on live, but he's got a big conference next week, and he's not.
They're in deep trouble.
We love Patrick, but I'm going to poke at him a little bit. Like, dude, just respond to an email. Come on. No. Patrick's a good man, and
he's
under the gun right now. So if you haven't listened to episode 50, you need to maybe take some time this weekend to listen to it in all your spare time. He's doing in fact, I'll put a link to I'll pull it up here. Hang on a second. Okay. Don't start singing again, but talk a little bit more about chaos.
So I mean, we are very excited. It's kind of I believe that this material was more complicated to create than others.
Why do you think that?
And
why do you say that?
I think that mostly because that area of the industry is less developed than others.
Yeah.
There is a less amount of good practices to be found. The tools are not as developed as for some other areas and so on and so forth. So it's kind of it's complicated because the industry itself did not adopt those things for a sufficient period of time and in a sufficient number of cases to say, okay, now this is something that everybody does, and then software vendors are creating products, and then open source projects are popping up like mushrooms. There are tools, and there are commercial versions of those tools and all those things, but it's still relatively limited, I think.
Yeah. I think too, I was working on the episode for April 22nd, and one of the things we had to do, it sort of held up the Chaos release, and at some point we'll do like a full-on release with it. But there was a change in Istio from 1.4 to 1.5, and the Chaos Toolkit plugin for Istio didn't work anymore with 1.5. What happened is in 1.4 there used to be a field called %, and it was just an integer. But it was also noted in 1.4 that was going to be deprecated. You should use %, which was of type, I don't remember, it was some data type.
Yep.
Whatever it was. So that changed how the configurations were. Well, all that was known in 1.4, but the team that wrote that plugin didn't follow that, or maybe they wrote it back when it was still earlier pre 1.4. So they didn't know. So now that we're on 1.5, we got a pull request put in, got it all fixed. We thought, didn't, went back and fixed it again, and now it's fixed. So that's the reason why it didn't really launch on the schedule we wanted, but that's okay. It's out there now, and we'll figure out how to really launch it later on. We've gotten some, the book that's out there as well. So this was also a little bit different than the Canary release, is we had a book release roughly the same time as the course. Within about, what, a week? Ish?
Yes,
probably about a week.
Something like that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, remember, we're not marketers. We're software developers. We're services people. We are not marketers. But talking about marketing, see what I did there? I'm getting better. So here's the conference that Patrick is working on, and this is happening next week. As you're listening to it, next week means April 15th. So that's next Wednesday, I think, for most places.
Yes, it's
and
Wednesday.
And it is let's see if they change it. Yes, it's a 23.999 hour virtual summit. So let's see here. I see Venkat.
Yeah.
I don't know the other faces. So let's figure out who's going to be here. So Patrick, if you watch this, we're trying to help out, man, as much as we can. Schedule. There we go. Look at that. Okay, so it doesn't click.
It's not. No, there is no schedule yet. I'm dying to know the schedule. I know, for example, that my talk is accepted, and I know that I'm speaking on Wednesday. I have no idea at what time.
Well, everybody's speaking on Wednesday, in some way, shape, or form.
Exactly. But I had to block kind of like 8 random hours in my calendar to increase the chances.
Come to you and yeah. Okay, so Matt Rabel, I know him. He works for Okta as a developer advocate. Let's see who else I know here. You probably know a lot more of these people than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know all of them, but a few, yes.
Let's see, so... Dude, you must be at the bottom of the list. I know I've known Pratik for a number of years. He doesn't know me, but I know him. Let's see, Gene Kim. All right, so that'll be probably a good one there.
Oh, yeah.
Gene's always good to listen to. If you've never heard Gene live, this would be worth it. Aaron Parecki. Okay, so I'll say this. So Aaron also works at Okta. Aaron is one of the people that I follow on doing the live stream and getting stuff up. And I had some issues yesterday. I'm prepping for teaching. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to watch any of this live on that day because I'm teaching a class on Tuesday and on Wednesday, full 8-hour courses. And I was having some problems. I was working with GoToMeeting, and my stuff was I was pumping out 1080p, and instead of doing, let's see, where am I? I'm right here. So I'm pumping out 1080p, but GoToMeeting was cropping it to 720 on the inside. So it was just basically, think of it like a donut, and all you could see was what was inside the hole. But Zoom doesn't do that, and in theory, WebEx doesn't. So, but anyway, so I follow Aaron on his stuff. So if you're ever wanting to understand how to do live streaming, go out to YouTube and look up Aaron's name. He's got some great videos, but he's also like a real developer too. He's not just a YouTube star. There's Patrick. He better be speaking, right? Of course, he's going to be running behind the background. What's going on? Oh, there's Patrick again. How did he get two?
Because he has...
I wonder if
he controls the schedule, so he can be in as many as you want.
Yep, John Allspaw. That would be pretty good. If you never read any of John's books, those are always fun to read. Okay. Dude, you're like...
The short version is that everybody that matters is there.
Yep, there you are.
Ugly.
Finally, you're at the bottom.
Could be worse. There are worse than me. Look at them.
There's more and more and more. So this is... All right, so remember, think about it. This is almost a 24-hour live event. So if anybody finds out where Patrick's going to be live, send pizza. Or send whatever Patrick needs in order to keep moving. Should be good. Let's see here.
It's really impressive because they managed to pull that off in like less than 2 months. Very fast.
Very, very fast. Let's see if this link works. Nope, that link is dead. Oh wait, maybe.
Okay, there it is.
Oh, that's right, and it's multi-track too. It's not just a single track. You think about that. So, so you're probably somewhere in here.
Probably.
Okay, well, now you can go figure out where you need to go. Coffee breaks, right? They build in coffee breaks. That's nice. 15-minute coffee breaks remotely. There's going to be no line at the bathroom. Unless you're at home and you have a single bathroom and you have 10 people living at home. Then there will be a line at the bathroom.
Exactly.
Anyway. So next week, in fact, let me go ahead and drop the link in the chat here, just in case you've not picked it up from what we were doing. That should go out momentarily. There it goes, and it should be a link. Yep, there it goes. Okay. And because of the timing, you probably already see the link and don't understand what it is. Now you will. So we had codes. You did a tweet that we had codes, right?
Yeah, we have. It's a bit complicated. Normally, I would like to give away more stuff, but Udemy allows 3 coupons per month or something like that. But we have codes for the Canary. 10 people. First 10 people who to get them will get them.
Okay, so how
you just need. Will you paste it in a comment?
Is that what we want to do, or do you want to have them email? How do you want to do it?
I don't know. I always go with the simple solution. Paste it in a comment section.
Did you send it to me?
I don't know.
Did you send them to me?
Yes, it's in Slack. It's in Slack. Check it. That just shows how much you're not paying attention when I speak to you. That's the thing. I sent you like 3 links, 4 links, 5. I don't know anymore how many.
Don't start with sending links. Okay. Yes, I did see the link, but I actually never linked. Okay, so let me do this. We've got roughly 6 or 7 people live with us today. Here's what I'm going to do.
Easy. Nobody needs to fight for it.
Yep. I just have to find... I got to get to the right... Oh, did you see they got rid of the double course? That was something weird in Udemy too.
Yes, they did.
That's expired. I don't see... Which one did we want?
Okay, let me find it. Okay, here. Copy link. Where can I paste it? You're
just
the
get
master
the code.
of.
Just get the code and send it to me in Slack.
There you go. That's free coupons for Canaries.
So it's the one that ends in 7-1, right? Oh, this is
yes.
the full link. Okay.
Yeah, that's a full link.
So
and the next one I'm sending you is the one for whatever Udemy allows you to charge the least for chaos.
Which I actually have already down in the description. I've got a link off to DevOps Toolkit series. Hang on, I'm pasting it in a second. I'm trying to validate that what you just gave me is true. Because I don't see that coupon code anywhere.
It's
I
there.
don't see 7.1. No. Are you sure that's not Canary?
I'm sure. I just opened it in browser. Open it, you'll see it.
Okay. Hang on.
Just don't buy it, Darin.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to. This is Canary, dude. You sent me. This is Canary. This isn't Chaos.
Yeah, first is Canary, the second is Chaos.
Oh, okay. So
I just sent you two links.
Oh,
two
okay.
links,
So
two links.
okay, all right. So we have giveaways for Canary, and we've
Yes.
got as best discount as we can do right now for Chaos, right?
Yes.
Okay, I misunderstood. I had them flipped. So this first link that we're going in for right now, what was the count on this one?
So let's say again. Count
what was the count on the Canary one?
10, yes, 10 people.
There's 10 there. So if you
Yes.
check in the chat right now, you'll see a link right below all the talks. That is the Canary one that you can get for free. The first 10 people can get it. And then this next link that's coming in is going to be a best discount possible for right now for Chaos. If I can get this stupid link to work. And that one is showing up now. Okay. And there it is. So there's the two Udemy links. All right. So those are there. So if you've got an extended weekend, now's the time to do some of this stuff. I don't know that you could get through both courses in a weekend. Not unless you're...
So it depends, kind of. Did you watch already everything that looks interesting in Netflix? If you did, then this might be cool. If you didn't, then I'm not sure. I'm not sure in that case.
you start going deep cuts at some point in Netflix, and you find like these series that had... Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so those are the links there. What questions do y'all have? We still have 6-7 people here.
Yeah, anything. Doesn't have to be related with anything we talk.
Except CI/CD. Don't ask us CI/CD questions.
Yes, exactly.
Now,
I mean, you can ask CI/CD questions. You cannot ask us to compare some.
Don't compare stuff.
Product.
Yeah,
exactly.
So the episode that we did with Patrick this week was really good, but the episode that's coming out this coming Wednesday with Adam Sandor is a super great episode. You will want to listen to it. Again, we talked about this last week. A lot of the people that I talk to that are also podcasters, they're seeing less people listening just because their patterns have been interrupted, to say the least.
Yep.
So people aren't listening. I'm probably listening more because, number one, I was never driving. So I was always walking on the treadmill. Well, now I'm actually outside walking, so I'm actually doubling my walk time. And on weekends, I 4x my time. I do like, what did I do last weekend? I did like 10 miles. Both Saturday and Sunday. So I'm out for a couple, 3 hours at that point. For me, I'm a slow walker. But, I had plenty of time to listen to things. So how is Adam? Jay asked this. So how is Adam? Adam is Adam.
Exactly. It's hard to define how Adam is. He falls into a special category.
Yeah, it's if you've not, go follow Adam. It's Adam Sandor on Twitter, I think is what his handle is. Go follow, super smart guy, super nice guy, and you'll listen towards the end. If you listen all the way to the end, at some point, Victor and Adam, I'm not going to say they come into agreement, but they agree to disagree really politely. I come in and say, you both are wrong. But we're going to save that for another episode. So that reminds me, I need to contact Adam and schedule another episode because I need to let you two gang up on me because it's I completely disagree with both of you.
Excellent. And now, if you could just find out about what, that would be great.
Well, listen Wednesday, and you'll start to understand why. Nobody's asking questions. I could sit here and sing, but you don't want me to do that.
That's okay.
That's all right. So everybody's finished yelling for the day. That's good. We actually don't do that. Well, I mean, we have people do it here, but I'm so far from the city, I wouldn't even see it. So
Yeah, I think that's happening in almost
lots of
all major
places.
cities
Yep.
now. Yeah, because when you think about it, it's I really have a lot of respect for health workers right now, because they're going home to their families and most
Sometimes.
likely transmitting things that normally shouldn't be transmitted and things like that, and it's tough. I mean, here in Spain, I think that 10% of all infected are healthcare workers, which is a
Yeah.
huge figure.
It's very big, and in fact, I saw that Marriott was doing rooms for healthcare workers, like in New York and stuff, so they wouldn't have to go home because sometimes
Exactly.
that risk is much greater. The I can't. I've got friends that are both police officers and work as paramedics, and none of them have any kind of personal protective equipment other than the ones they try to scrape together themselves. They just can't. The departments aren't providing them, and it's hard to find it right now. So hopefully we'll start seeing this flatten out a little bit more over time. Today is, of course, the 10th of April. So it's, I still think it's going to be time. I mean, we saw this week Wuhan started opening up just a little bit. So hopefully that means 3 months roughly as a ballpark finger in the air guess. But I was listening to a doctor say the other day, we got to wait for the virus to say when it's done. So,
I mean, from what I understood, hopefully soon some more relaxed period will come, but we will not go 100% to normal anytime soon.
no. No. Okay. Nobody's asking questions. Somebody has to have a question. Now, if we were smart, we'd actually already have some questions queued up.
Yeah.
But the problem is everything I'm working on is 3 or 4 weeks in advance. So everything in my head is too far in advance. You've got something.
I have a question for people to ask questions.
Okay, lead it.
So we are starting something that we don't know yet how it's going to be called and what it really will be, except that the idea is not to do deep dive in one particular thing, like deep dive into canaries, deep dive into chaos, Kubernetes, what's not, but to do some kind of a catalog of a Bible of or very short pim, 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 pam, pum type of introductions and into different tools and processes. So I was planning for us to announce, kind of start asking those questions a while later, but this might be just as good of a moment as any other. So kind of like, which tools would you think, or types of tools or processes would be worthwhile exploring? So the idea is kind of, so there are tools that we use and that are definitely going to be there, but then there are a bunch of other tools that other people are using, and we would like to take them and compare them with others and then do some kind of exploration. So if there is anything cool and nice that you're using, just don't say Kubernetes. We already have that covered.
That's too low level anyway. We're talking concrete type items. Like obviously one that we could do easy, actually two we could do easily, are Jenkins and Jenkins X, just because we live in those. Right.
Yeah.
We could also do GitHub Actions. We could do code build from AWS. I mean, we could look at all. That's the kind of questions we're looking for. Is what would you like to understand from a catalog, a Bible scenario, to where you just flip through. It's like, oh, okay, I need to understand. I need basically. I have an hour to figure out, is this thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumbs somewhere in the middle? We just don't know.
Yeah.
So if that's what this goal is supposed to be, it's probably going to be. We haven't said anything because each one's probably going to be a little different based on its characteristics, but an hour to 2 hours, right? Is that what we're talking about? Depends, but
I think maybe even less. I would say that none of them should go over an hour, and many of them might be 20 minutes or something like that.
So that's the question.
Like the one that I'm working on right now is around 20 pages. I don't know how much is that in. Probably, not long.
20 pages is just under an hour.
Yeah.
unless we get somebody from, well, I'm not going to go there. That would be too rude. So what kind of tools, processes, what else? How else could we...
Does it have to be specific tool? It can be kind of like, what's the best
a class of
tool
tools.
to, or a group of tools to do X, whatever X is.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, should we define infrastructure as configuration or as code? Things like that, anything.
Yeah, I mean, some of these, and we haven't talked about this, obviously, is, okay, hey, here's a good set of tools that work really well together to do whatever the process is, right? They just seem to wire and flow better together than other pieces. It'd be sort of like trying to build, a Lego tower, and all you've got is, a 6 block, a 1 block, and a 4 block. How do you wire that up right? Maybe that's versus I've got 3 1 blocks. 3 1 blocks are going to be a whole lot easier probably to stack than a mix. I don't know.
Exactly.
So nobody's answering our question. They're all bored with us. They're watching Netflix. That's what it is. They have us on in the background and they're watching Netflix.
So what is happening, Darin, is that people just left that running and went to do something else more interesting. That's what's happening.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. So nobody's asking questions. Nobody has an idea. Well, we could stop it here, I guess.
Yeah.
Unless somebody has any other questions. That's fine. We don't have to drag
We can
this
be
out.
done finished with this. I have one more sip left. So either I stop here and go and come back, or
get another one.
We stop for good. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Oh wait, we have. All right. So here's. Oh wait, they all queued up. Holy cow. Okay,
Oh my.
hang on a second. All right, man, they all just like flowed in. All right, so I'm gonna take them in order. So here's one from Jay.
You have to take a Java up and bring it to production. Yeah.
Okay.
So you know what? Actually, Jay, you just volunteered to do that. You're a Java guru. I'm not.
Yep.
There you go.
We got everybody was multitasking. Yeah, that's fine.
Multitasking, exactly.
And going back to Jay again. Front end. There are no front ends. Front ends are evil. Everything's
exactly.
API.
But actually, without really much thinking, that sounds interesting. Kind of like to take a specific application written in a specific language and see what would be, because ultimately there are some general tool that happens to fix every situation. Then, if you're really married to Java or Python, then you might go more specific. That's cool. That's interesting.
Okay. Got a couple more from Klaus. What software tools?
Okay, the most important one is it's ZSH.
Yes.
Without a doubt. That's the most important one.
If you don't use
everything else is optional.
Yeah, let me see. I can.
So yes, I do personally use Visual Studio Code to that. It's literally open. That's the only thing apart from browser that is always open on my machine, including all the work that I do in terminal, which is kind of vast majority of work. I do it from Visual Studio Code terminal, which happens to run my ZSH. Yep.
So here's my ZHH. If you've never heard of it, I can't even say it right now, and I'm not even drinking. It's a very nice, and that's an understatement, terminal shell. I use Brew. So I'm on a Mac, but I use virtual boxes a lot. So I'm either booting up Ubuntu, CentOS, just because sometimes I just need that. Because sometimes I don't want to pollute my Mac. Let's put it that way. I'd rather just have a VM to get my stuff done. And then we had a couple others here. Wait, where's my mouse? Okay, so anyway, if you've not done this before, okay, this mouse I got causes me to not kick myself out of the thing, but it causes me to not be able to move either. Okay, so my tools, I actually have a personal license for IntelliJ. I pay for it myself.
Come on.
I do. In fact, it just renewed
kidding.
today. It just renewed today for $144 or whatever it is. So I have the whole suite. But primarily, I just use IntelliJ, just because that's what I use. And which OS? We talked about this. No, I don't even own a Windows machine. I do have a Windows machine in the cloud with Amazon Workspaces for some financial stuff that I do. Otherwise, no, I've not used Windows in years.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, now, if there is anybody who uses Windows and wants to help, that would be greatly appreciated, because I know that everything we do works in macOS and Linux, because they're essentially, when you do from terminal, almost the same.
Yep.
And Windows is a big mystery, and I never know whether what we publish actually really works in Windows.
Yeah. Now, this is a good question, and I know it takes about 30 seconds to get out there, so we'll talk about it here. What kind of software development? I had this conversation with somebody the other day. A developer isn't a developer isn't a developer. It can be in smaller shops, but most of the people that we work with are in larger shops, and there are application developers, there are automation developers, there are functional roles. That's what they're doing. So what are you talking? I'm assuming you're talking more on the application side of development and not so much the automation side. But I think the automation side in today's world is probably even more critical than the application development side.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. If you start from scratch, it's not more critical. It's just as critical as most other things. But since actually statistically test tends to be less developed and have more technical depth than anything else. So yes, it's in practical terms, it's more critical actually.
Yeah. And then we got one more here that Jay brought in, the Hey tool. I'm going to share my screen.
Oh, that's shell testing, right?
I think so. Let's see what it
is.
It's this one. Is it this one? For performance set, I mean, if it's replacing Apache Bench, I'm assuming that's it.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, okay. It's I haven't used it much, so I don't have deep experience with it. But for what I did use it, it looked really cool. Yeah, I'm disconnecting myself every once in a while. I'm just typing all those things in my to-do list.
Yeah. Okay. Why would I use this over Apache Bench? Does anybody remember? Because it looks to be, I mean, looking at the output of the help, it looks to be almost point for point the same. I'm sure there's other things that are different, but okay. So that's that. All right. So, and of course, I don't edit this video on YouTube, so everything. Okay, got it. Just to say it from what Jay had here from Google. I don't edit this video, so we'll have all the links anyway. So if you want to go listen to the cool pre-roll music, it's always there. I don't cut that out. The only time I cut out things is when we're recording for the podcast itself. But these Friday things, as long as they last, are basically just sort of a ask me anything freeform, do with it what you want. That's what we do. It's obviously it's highly unstructured.
We didn't talk about it, but if anybody wants to join one of the next coffee thingies by being on a screen,
feel free. Let us know. We'll send you the link and you can jump in. And yeah, this goes back to the automation development. This is the one where I get into a lot of arguments. I said conversation earlier. I said argument, then I said conversation. This is an argument point that I have with a lot of people. I'm all about shifting left, but shifting left where it makes sense. Coming up with automation to deploy to your production environment or any environment should not be left up to an application developer, period. As long as, there's not somebody else, if there's not another team to do it.
I would rephrase that. I think it should be left to the developer, but that
They don't have the skill
person who is
sets.
actually really let to explain, and then you tell me whether you agree.
Okay.
I think that the person that does have a skill set should work on it, but in a way that it is a service or something like that, and
Yes.
then application developers should actually be in charge of doing it and defining those 7 parameters that you need to set, right?
Yeah.
So for a specific, so I would say that that person the application developer should be doing it for that application. We should help that person.
Yes. That's
doing the right way.
I'm semi okay with that, but I'm still to the point of, in a larger organization, typically there are people that are on the ops side and there are people on the dev side, even though they're in the same team. They're not doing the whole, what I would call the true end-to-end role. I don't see that very often. Plus, there's usually more than one development team in a shop. But if all the development teams are deploying to the same deployment target for production, it's stupid to have every one of those development teams create their own automation. It's just dumb.
Yep.
Okay, good. I didn't know if you're going to agree with me or not. That's one of the things, because I get tired of hearing shift left, and or my favorite one, which I read somewhere the other day, we're shifting everything left, but they have to use our templates. Well, that's not shifting left. I'm sorry. You're just lying to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, shifting left makes sense, but
yes,
the problem is that most companies are faking it.
Yes.
It's just another fancy term that companies are using to, checkbox in Excel sheet, done.
Yeah.
Agile, DevOps, shift left. I mean, I did all of that.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this question.
Which one?
No, the last one.
Oh, from
Mohammed.
Okay.
Yeah. The short answer, no. And I think that's long before Kubernetes. I think that we need provisioning tools that will create images that we use for something, unless you're talking about bare metal servers. So if by Ansible you say, do we need Ansible to provision an image that will be packed with, let's say, Packer later and then instantiated inside of our clusters, then the answer is yes. If the question is, do we need Ansible to every once in a while change the state of VMs that are already running, then the answer is a big no.
And why a big no? Or was I just not paying attention?
Why a big no? Because the only way to be really certain in what is happening in different places and what's not is for those things to be immutable, right? Once you start tweaking the state of stuff, then no matter how well that is done and how well the tools work, that always ends up in some sort of a big mess, right? Yeah. So many times I've seen, yes, we have everything provisioned with Chef, Puppet, Ansible, and that kind of is doing the same thing everywhere, and we know that all 57 servers are exactly the same. But I never saw that in practice.
Right.
Never.
It may be close, but it's not 100%.
Yeah, you could get closer to it, closer to uniformity, or further away from uniformity. Yeah. But see, and also it's slower.
Yeah, and that's an oxymoron too. I'm close to being uniform. Just be uniform. Don't change the state. Just ship the thing and just use the thing. If it needs to be updated, replace it. If you can't replace it, figure out how to.
I mean, conceptually, that's not that different as if... So let's imagine a situation that we need to run an application in 5 different servers, and then we build the application 5 times and deploy it to 5 different servers.
Yep.
Nobody does that, right?
Nope.
You build an application once and then you deploy it everywhere. And conceptually, that is not different from infrastructure. You create an image and then you instantiate as many VMs. It's conceptually the same. So if it would be insanity to do that for an application, to build it as many times as instances you have, then it's insanity for everything else.
Yep. Okay. Do we let that be it for today? I think so.
Yeah.
Because you need to get back to your family. Because it's late. For them, not for you.
It's,
You just woke up.
I mean, honestly, I don't know anymore what is the time, what is the day of the week or the time. Kind of, I'm working in the house, so I don't know.
And I'm sure everybody else is feeling that too. So thanks for hanging out with us today, this evening, tomorrow, wherever time you may be. Stay safe, stay inside, cover your mouth, do the sane things, and hopefully we'll be back again next week. And if you got more questions, oh, also down in the description of the episode, just scroll down. You can listen to me while you're scrolling down. There's a link off to the Slack Workspace. If you've not joined the Slack Workspace, go ahead and join now. There's also links off to some other things. I don't even know what's down there anymore. I need to look myself.
Stuff.
Yeah, our contact information, all the other stuff, it's all there. But really, if you haven't joined the Slack Workspace, that's when you're going to find out, unless you're following Victor on Twitter or maybe me on Twitter, when these live streams are happening. But we've got a good community over there as well. So just go ahead, join up on the Slack Workspace. It's free. Just be nice. Don't be a bonehead.
Exactly.
That's all we ask. Just be nice. Anything else for today?
No, I think I'm good. I mean, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for showing up today.
Think about ideas and send us on Twitter or in next Coffee Live or LinkedIn or Slack, whatever. We will be collecting all the ideas and all those that are not done. You can post dumb ideas, but we deserve the right to discard them as being dumb.
That's fine. And it is a holiday weekend, so if you observe Easter, Passover, whatever other holidays you may have, even if it's just hang out with families, now's a good time to do that. Take advantage of it while we can, because at some point there's going to be yet another new normal that happens, and we need to be ready for that too. So enjoy the time as you've got it right now. So thanks, everybody. See you hopefully, probably more than likely next week. I don't see a reason why not, but we'll see. The times may change. I know I've got it. Wait, I don't know. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm actually working with somebody next Friday, so we might shift the time a little bit, but if not, it'll be probably the same time. So anyway, thanks again. Y'all have a great weekend. And now we do this.